Hi, I'm Jenny Rosencrantz with the University of Maryland Extension, and with me is Heather Martin, who is the organic gardener. You're the head gardener here, aren't you?
Yes.
And this is, what type of garden?
This is the Healing Rose Community Garden.
Okay.
This garden was established for breast cancer survivors, so here they can grow their own food that helps them in their recovery.
Wonderful. And this is October, which is Breast Cancer Survivor Month, so that works out really perfect.
Yeah.
Well, today we're going to go ahead and show you all kinds of really cool things. We're going to show you how you can transitionalize your garden from a summer garden to a fall garden. And we're going to show you some of the really cool little critters that we found in the garden, because gardens are full of not just plants, but a lot of animals. You're going to show us how to do a square foot garden.
I am, yes.
And we're going to have a pollinator's garden too. So join us for Delmarva Gardens coming up next right here on PAC 14. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, this is an element we brought into this garden to bring in motion.
For a sensory garden, right? Is that
Yep.
what you, okay.
For sensory gardens, we like to bring in that element of motion, and when there's a larger or stronger breeze, the bell will ring too to bring in that sound as well.
Music.
Yeah.
Now, does this go? Oh, that moves
Yep.
too. That's so
Yeah.
neat. So you can actually come out here and play if you're bored, or just sit and watch it.
That's right.
Nice. Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to a garden that is transitioning from a summer garden with summer vegetables to a fall garden with fall vegetables. Oh, I love the color of eggplant. Even the plant has got the beautiful, rich purple colors.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's so gorgeous. And do they have any flowers left?
It looks like there's, yep, and one here.
Oh, there's a flower. Look.
Beautiful flowers.
They really are pretty. They're a bright purple with a bright yellow center. I love that. And we still have some fruit on here too, don't we?
Yep, there's a plant here.
Oh, cool.
And look at the beautiful color on
That is. That's
eggplant
almost
as well. This is a Japanese eggplant.
Yes.
As you can see, they're a little different than the traditional Italian eggplants. They have less seeds. And
more tender because of that, aren't
more
they?
tender. The skin, you can usually leave the skin on because it's a little bit more tender. So,
nice.
Yeah.
And I noticed that there's an awful lot of little critter holes here. Isn't that the flea beetle that does that?
Yes, the flea beetle does that.
So from what I know about flea beetles is that they're very small and very fast and jump very quickly, so they look like fleas and they jump, but they're beetles. So entomologists are so creative. Flea beetle works out really well for me too. This is a pepper, so we still have some summer peppers.
Yeah.
And there's some flowers here too. A little star-shaped white flower.
Yep.
Which is real pretty. And you can see there's the flower. And then it transitionalized. Here's the beginning of a little pepper. Isn't that cool? And then, are there some peppers on here? Let's see.
There's one on this plant over here.
Oh, okay. So these are just the traditional green bell peppers.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's really neat. And the peppers actually, from what I understand, they have to have summer to be really hot to actually get started.
Yes, it's hard to say if this pepper plant will actually produce a pepper this late in the year.
Because it's getting so much cooler.
Yeah, and the days are shorter, but they do like, a lot of sun and heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And having the days shorter makes it easier for us to grow our cold crops. I just wanted to show something with this. Here is some cabbage plants, and cabbage plants often have these little holes in them. We have little holes, we have big holes, and those are made by a cabbage moth. We also have in here, if I can find him. Oh, here he is.
There he is.
Here he is. We have a beneficial insect right here. I'm going to go ahead and pull him out. He's not happy to be pulled out. Actually, he's really protesting. Here we go. There you go. He is a praying mantis. And even though he's a beneficial, he's kind of a casual beneficial. He eats whatever happens to be by at the time. And if you play with him, he will bite you. So I'm going to leave him be. But so what do you do? I mean, how do you deal with all the cabbage moths that are here?
Well, there are organic pesticides that you can use for cabbage worms, but we try not to spray in this garden. So really I just kind of instruct the gardeners to, if they see one of these pests, which you want to take a look here, here's a cabbage worm.
Look how closely he blends in.
They're really hard to
Wow.
see. As you can see, they
There
blend
he is,
in.
right there.
But I just have them take the cabbage worm off, and if they feel comfortable, they can squish it.
Let's get rid of that right now.
Let's do it.
All right. There he is.
Yeah.
And squished in onto the ground.
He's gone.
So we're composting worms now. Okay, so we have cabbage, and on the other side of the cabbage, we've got some lettuce.
Lettuce and spinach, and this is a great example of how you can use some of the fall brassicas to shade some of the greens that need, they don't like that heat and sun.
They're more tender.
So as you can see here, shading the lettuce and the spinach on this side, in that early part of the fall.
That's great. And then I see also some carrots, and they're
Yeah.
popping up, and that's really neat.
Yep, those are carrots too. Carrots grow really well in the spring and the fall.
Right. So
not so well in the summer.
they don't like the summer heat. And I've noticed you also have some onions. Now, aren't they also, again, either an early spring or late fall crop?
Exactly, yep. These
So-
are scallions or green onions, some people call them.
Oh, scallions.
Really nice to cook with and on
Mostly-
salads and that kind of thing.
Most use the top as opposed to, but you can actually pull it up.
Yep, you can use
Okay.
the whole thing on those. Yeah, it's really nice.
I think onions are so pretty, I just don't play with them at all. There's another kind of thing that we're going to take a look at. This is a type of garden that's a raised bed garden, and this is about, 2.5 feet tall?
Yep, this is a 24-inch bed.
Okay.
And we use different heights here just because we have gardeners with different mobilities.
Right, so you can go ahead and bend over more with this one, but maybe not so much a taller one.
Right.
I noticed that they're all about the same size going this way. So you
Yes.
mentioned 2 feet?
They're 4 feet wide.
4 feet wide.
And that is actually an ADA recommendation that we can reach definitely 2 feet in either direction.
That would make
Which
sense.
is why you can really access any part of the garden from the side. when
That's
it's 4
great.
feet wide. Yeah.
Oh, I just noticed you've got some chard growing up there. Is that the rainbow
Yeah.
chard? That's really pretty. I love chard because look at the colors right here. This is teeny tiny, but already it's got the bright, bright scarlet red top as stalk right there. Isn't that lovely? Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the tomato trellis.
Okay.
Oh, this is so cool. So 3 poles. What kind of poles are they?
These are made out of bamboo.
Oh.
That we cut from a neighbor.
And won't rot?
And no,
They
yeah,
don't.
and they're really sturdy. And the 3 allows it to be a tripod, which is a really strong structure. As you can see, it's holding this giant tomato plant.
So what type of tomato is this?
This is a Brandywine heirloom tomato.
These are big
Yeah,
guys.
they're really large.
Wow. And you have what, 3 tomato plants here? Or?
There are 3, so 1 on each side.
Right.
And as you can see, there's only really minimal strings in there.
Yes.
Kind of worked out nicely that the tomato just sort of leaned into the structure.
How
Holding
nice.
it up, yeah.
And I see it has lots and lots of little yellow flowers still, so
Yeah.
as long as we don't have a frost, they might mature.
Yeah, these
But-
tomatoes could still produce.
Right, and I see some red, but oh, look. Again, Mother
yeah.
Nature at work. Yike. This was a tomato hornworm, but as you see, it is covered with these little white things. And these are the larval cases, not the eggs, but the actual larval cases of an insect. Whoa! Let me pick that sucker up. Woo. I think this is toast.
Yep.
Yeah, the larval casing of a parasitic wasp. And what they've done is they've really literally sucked it dry. So these guys will survive only if there's enough nutrition still left in that little hornworm. These look so vicious when they're around.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. If you take a look at this guy, he's got like 3 legs right there. And then the rest of it, they're called prolegs. They look like legs. If I turn them over, you can see that they look like little legs, but they're just little suckers. So when if he had turned into a moth, these 3 little legs right here, or 6 legs right here, would actually become legs for the moth too.
Wow.
He's neat.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to throw him away. We're going to leave him right here so that the beneficial wasps can have a good time.
Still do their job.
Yes, go ahead. And we do have some tomatoes.
Yeah, there is here a ripe tomato. As you can see, the Brandywine and most heirloom varieties actually, they do tend to crack like that. You know, they're not those perfect red tomatoes that you're used to seeing.
Right.
But that's just part of, you know, gives them their unique quality.
A lot of people call them the ugly tomato, but what they make up, what they don't have in beauty, they make up in taste, because these brandy wines are the best tasting tomatoes ever, ever, ever. I noticed that they do have the cracks on them, and from what I've read, and since you grow them all the time, you probably know, the skin actually hardens as it grows, and so that once it does harden, and then if it has a little bit more water or more rain, it wants to grow a little bit more, that's when it starts to develop the cracks. So is this then ripe enough now to eat, or would you go ahead and leave it on the vine a little bit more?
No, that is actually ripe enough to eat. And actually with a lot of heirloom varieties, you can pick them a little bit less ripe. Just because, you know, then they won't have as much cracking.
Right.
But they will ripen off the vine just fine. Yeah.
But they don't really have that much of a shelf life after they've been picked.
No, yeah. Once they're ripe and once they've been picked, they do need to be eaten rather soon.
Because the flavor is there, and they don't have that holding ability. I know that I was listening to a professor was talking about a new variety of tomato that he had put together, or that he had bred, I'm sorry, and it was a perfect round tomato, and he had it sitting on his desk for months. And I'm thinking, I wonder what that would taste like. And I decided it probably wouldn't have any flavor at all. It's probably full of styrofoam and all that. But like today's modern hybrid tomatoes, they're grown for picking and packing for the store, but you can go ahead and get a garden variety like these guys.
Yeah, a lot of the hybrid tomatoes now are grown so that they can be shipped across the country. But you know, these are great tomatoes to have in your yard, just because, you know, you're always in your yard and you can pick them as you need them. And,
absolutely.
Yeah.
While you're thinking about getting something, you pick it and bring it in and just eat it on the way in. And, I should have gotten that and some more.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I noticed that you have other tomatoes growing in the garden, some in the raised beds, but also some in the smaller containers. And let's go take a look at those, okay?
Yeah.
They look like they're interesting. Oh, I love cherry tomatoes. Oh, are these sun golds?
These are actually, they're called Little Blonde Girl, but they're very similar to a sun gold. They're an heirloom.
Oh my goodness. And this one looks like it's ripe.
Yep.
Excuse me, I'm going to have to just check to make sure. Oh, there's nothing like a freshly picked tomato. Yum.
Delicious.
Now this one is really nice, growing in a raised bed. It's not a very tall raised bed. And then this one right beside it is growing in like a 1 foot by 1 foot container.
Yeah. You can see the difference is obvious there.
He doesn't look happy.
Nope.
Okay.
No,
So
not happy.
do you know what, is this also a cherry tomato?
We thought it was originally when we put it in, and which is why we put it in the pot.
Right.
But this is actually one of the brandy wines that we mentioned before. And as we see, you know, those get pretty large, and a pot that size is not great for a brandy wine tomato like that.
And it is difficult, especially in the springtime when you're looking at plants and the plants have like a tag for whole flat. Somebody picks up the tag, reads it, and puts it back not in the same flat, and you have no idea what you're getting.
Yeah,
so,
I believe that's what happened.
Yeah, and it is hard. The other thing is because there's not enough soil here, it's more prone to diseases, I think, too. So it really has lost a lot of the foliage. And now, again, this is an organic garden, so you have to use organic pesticides. Do you have anything that controls some of these diseases?
Yeah, so the early and late blight that we're susceptible to in this area, you can use a copper solution. It's just mixed with water, and what that does is it just coats the foliage and sort of protects it from that fungus setting in.
Right. So it's not a cure; it's a protectant.
It just
that would
protects
make
that
sense.
Right.
Right. And it also protects the stalks as well too, because late blight. Oh my gosh, that's everything. Early blight, from what I remember, is a soil-borne disease, and so sometimes just having a barrier between the soil and the plant can protect it also. So maybe that's why you'd use straw or plastic.
Yeah, it's really good to mulch tomatoes early on in the season, as early as you can.
Yeah.
You know, when they're strong enough to stand the mulch. For that very reason.
Exactly. Now, this raised bed has got a lot of compost in it too, doesn't it?
Yes.
And that's a way to go ahead and fertilize it, in a sense. Later on, we can go ahead and, you mentioned we're going to do a square foot garden and add some fertilizer. That's going to be so cool. I noticed that there's some other beneficials in another bed. It's called the parsley caterpillar. It turns out into a beautiful butterfly, but right now it's kind of a pretty, actually it's a pretty caterpillar. Let's go take a look.
Okay.
Oh, these are really pretty too. Yeah. Oh, look at the caterpillars.
Yeah.
Now I would call these parsley caterpillars, but they're not on parsley.
Yeah, these actually we've been seeing these on carrots, which are here, and also on celery too. You'll find them.
You have a lot of celery.
We do have a lot of celery, so I think that's probably why we have so many of these. You know, the more you have what they like, they're going to be here.
The more food source. Yeah, this springtime was really cold and damp, and a lot of the caterpillars just didn't make it. And I felt really bad for the birds because they're using the caterpillars as a protein source for their babies.
Yeah.
And you know, not to say anything nice about wasps and all that, but they were also using the caterpillars, and they bring them to their little ones. And but it's funny because I looked at these and I thought, oh, this must be parsley, but no, it's carrots.
Yeah,
That's so
carrots.
cool.
Yeah.
So this one right here I notice is pretty much toast, but it's got new foliage. So as long as
yeah, you can see the new foliage down here. So as long as it can maintain that, it'll probably be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they've got a couple more months to go ahead and grow. I noticed that you call this garden, these series of gardens, Rose Garden?
Yeah, we call this the Healing Rose Garden.
Oh, the Healing Rose Garden. That makes sense.
Yeah, it is for breast cancer survivors, as we mentioned.
Yes.
So we do have a rose presence in this garden. If you want, we can go check them out.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Eat hearty. Oh, what a beautiful rose. This is aptly named.
Yeah.
Okay, for the Healing Rose Garden.
Yeah. We named it the Healing Rose Garden after a 5K that started raising money for this program.
Nice.
And so we knew we wanted to have a rose presence in the garden.
Well, and the knockout roses to me is probably the smartest idea because they bloom all summer long. So as a landscape plant, they give you color. They bloom and then they stop. They clean themselves off. You don't even have to come by and deadhead them.
Yeah.
And they're so resistant to the black spotted roses, and that is a nasty disease. So that's a very good idea. And you've got the red, and I see you have the pink and the yellow.
Yep. Yeah,
so
we have 3 colors.
All the beautiful colors, which is good, the rainbow. And then you've got this little coreopsis, so you have a pollinator's presence too.
Yeah, we do have a lot of pollinators in this garden. We know that's important. So.
Yeah. Do you have a garden dedicated to them?
We do. We have a pollinator garden, which we can check out next.
I like that. I just love the colors of these coreopsis. They're so sunny, and this variety right here, if you have cool nights and warm days, the center turns red. Isn't that lovely? That's so cool. Let's go see the pollinator's garden.
All right.
I know we were supposed to go to the pollinator's garden, but I just look at the beans. I'm amazed that they're still producing.
Yeah, these probably have about a week left.
Okay.
That they'll produce, yeah.
Did you plant these early and then have to replant them?
No, I actually planted these probably 4 weeks ago or so.
Okay, so
I tried to do a fall planting, and it ended up working out. So.
Nice. It is good. And then the purple they look like beets, right?
Yeah.
Well, what are the other guys?
They're golden beets. So we've got the red and the golden.
Golden beets. Oh, wow. Now, I've not eaten golden beets. When you cook them, do they stay gold?
They'll dull a little bit, but they're a little bit milder in flavor, so they don't have that like rich, sort of soily, beety taste.
Oh yeah.
They're a little milder, but they still do the justice.
So good. Yeah. That is so cool. And this is the kale again.
Yep.
Again, a wonderful fall crop, and it's so pretty, and it makes a nice little background between the parking lot and here, and it kind of tells people this is the way to the garden.
That's right.
All right. It's just so nice to see so much color also in the garden. Yeah. Verna, hi, how's it going?
Great, Jenny.
Heather, you know Verna. Verna Langford is one of my master gardeners and also a garden lover.
Yes.
And you are really interested in the pollinators gardens, right?
Right, well, I've been assisting here with a garden, but one of the things that we all know is we've heard of pollinators are necessary for food production. I mean, 95% of all flowering plants require pollination.
Right.
Now, a lot of people don't realize that vegetables start with a flower that has to be pollinated to produce a fruit or to the vegetable and so on. So 1 out of every 3 bites of food we eat in this nation are because we have pollinators. Now, what do pollinators do? Well, they either drink the nectar or they take the pollen from one plant to another that helps to pollinate them so that they can reproduce not only the fruit, but plants in the future time to sustain their livelihood. So sustainability is a big thing here. The thing to remember that our pollinators are in decline because of lack of habitat, loss of habitat. So what native pollinators need are native plants. So we're in the process of planting specific areas with native plants to produce our produce here in the garden. Now we'll have additional pollinator gardens in the future, but this was our initial plant. Again, anyone that can plant any kind of habitat in their home spaces that have native plants that will help the birds, the butterflies, the pollinators of all kinds. It's so critical because they're in such decline because of the weather, climate, all types of issues that are behind that decline.
We're planting a lot of houses and not crops in
not
some
only
areas.
that,
Yes.
but the pesticides and the use of pesticides and other things like that. So we need to help them on their way.
That's a good idea.
They feed us. We need to help them.
That's a good idea, yes. And you do have a lot of the native plants here. And I was noticing that, okay, this is an asclepias or a butterfly bush, but on it we have a little praying mantis, and she is happily feeding off some of the aphids that are here. And if you look a little further over here, there's also a ladybug, and she's also feeding off the aphids. So we've got a lot of beneficials here as well as pollinators. This is wonderful.
And we encourage, we want to continue to plant and encourage them because, again, look at all these aphids in here. I'm sorry, this whole plant. But anyway, without the pollinators, we don't have our food production, and our ecosystem would collapse without them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, one of the things that we were talking about is the square foot garden. So are you ready to do that?
Yeah, we're going to demonstrate a square foot garden.
So we're going to get dirty.
That's right.
That's what gardening's all about, getting nice and dirty in the garden. All right. Thank you, Verna.
You're welcome.
Okay, square foot gardening. First of all, we have to prep the soil, right?
Exactly. So what we have here is alfalfa meal.
It's green.
Yeah, this adds nitrogen to the soil. One of the things that we use to amend the soil. A lot of the fall plantings use a lot of nitrogen, so you want to replace that.
That makes sense because they're all green. And
Exactly.
a lot of times when you're dealing with organic gardens, it's very difficult to use a type of compost that has enough nitrogen.
Exactly.
So, but you're right.
Yeah.
That will work. Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and sprinkle this.
Okay. It's easy to see where you've been with that.
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll try to get it as evenly as possible, but we will scratch it in. So.
Okay.
And then if you could take about 3/4 of a cup of that.
Okay, now this is a type of organic fertilizer. And this is a very slow release.
Exactly.
So, see if I can do as good a job as you did.
So sprinkle that in.
Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. It's like sprinkling sugar on cookies. There we go. Okay, good.
So then we'll just sort of turn this over, and this helps to aerate the soil and break up the clumps and just kind of get that good stuff in there.
Nice. When you think about it, the roots need the nutrients as soon as they germinate, but then they also need the nutrients when the roots grow down into the soil.
Exactly.
So, is that good?
Yeah, that looks
Do I need
good.
to smooth mine out?
And as you can see, our soil is already pretty moist underneath, which
That's
is nice.
good,
So
yes.
we're ready to plant.
Okay. And
right. So if we imagine that, square feet,
Right.
And then we plant in a way that allows each plant to have enough space to grow in 1 square foot. So some plants that are smaller in size, you can put more of them in a square foot. Others that are more medium size, you put less.
Right.
So yeah, I'll demonstrate.
So this would be a fall planting as opposed to summer with a tomato would take up many square feet.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
So what we have here are some cabbage. We've got a collards, kale, celery, and cauliflower. And those all require that full square foot.
Right.
So those would all get their full square foot.
Okay.
So we'll start with this cabbage here.
Savory cabbage.
And as you can see, that the roots have kind of filled out that cell. So we
Nicely.
want to kind of break that up a little bit, give it some space.
There you go. I've noticed that if you don't break up the roots a little bit, then they don't know that they're supposed to get out of that little soil.
So they'll sort of stay bound like that. So you want to kind of give them some space.
Right, because they never grow otherwise.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then we'll go ahead and put a hole, plop that in there.
Uh-huh. So you plant right to the right
Tuck it in there.
height? Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, you can see that that was 1 square foot there.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and try this one. And this one right here was?
That is a collard greens.
Okay, now collards and kale are very similar. What do you consider the difference between collards and kale?
I would say it's texture. Kale tends to be a little bit more tender, where collards are a little hardier. Can be used in soups and stews and that kind of thing.
There we go. That's my square foot.
Exactly, and we'll tag that one. That's variety is champion.
And it's good to be able to tag them while you're planting them so you know what you've got.
Exactly.
That's good.
A lot of them look similar, so it helps to. And then we've got the kale.
We'll put the kale right over here. I love playing in the garden. They smell good too, you know? That's neat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The hole. There you go. Grow well now.
All right. And
Which
then
one
I'll
was
hand
this?
you that one. That one is the cauliflower.
Oh, cauliflower.
And we have cauliflower actually in 3 different colors. Or 4 different actually. We grow orange cauliflower, purple cauliflower, white cauliflower, and green.
Now, I know what white cauliflower looks like, but purple cauliflower, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I bet that would be beautiful on like a vegetable tray when you have all the different colors. You could have a rainbow of cauliflower.
Absolutely, yeah.
Neat. Now, when you cook them, do they all turn, does the purple stay purple?
Most of them do dull in color when you
Okay.
cook them. But they do, they have those added nutrients.
Right.
More color means, more nutrients.
More
so that's why
intense
we
the
like
color.
to have a lot of color.
I like that. And also, and a veggie tray, they're so gorgeous. Okay, what else do we have?
Got a celery.
Celery. I'll let you plant the celery.
All right, and that gets another square foot.
Okay.
Put that right in the center there.
Thanks for holding the tray.
And celery is actually one of the things that, if you're concerned with buying organic, that's one of the things that's on the Dirty Dozen list. So that's why we have a lot of celery in this garden, because it's kind of hard to find organically.
The Dirty Dozen list.
Yeah.
Explain that.
The Dirty Dozen list are the vegetables that are sprayed with the most pesticides.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty neat. Okay, and what is this little guy?
Swiss chard. All right, that's Swiss chard.
Oh, it's coming out. Is that too?
They're just really tender. Yeah,
Really
they're fine.
tender.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can do 4 Swiss chard in 1 square foot.
Okay, I'll put this guy here. And they are tender. We'll get some color going here. Am I too far out?
No, that looks good.
Looks good. Okay. Is there another one? Oh, good.
Yep.
All right, good. And then last thing, I'll let you do the honors.
All right.
Anytime you plant something, you have to water them in.
And we use a misting setting, just because these plants, as you can see, they're so tender, so that we want that mist kind of water them in nicely.
Without pounding them down.
Exactly, yeah.
That's really good. Oh, they're going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
They are going to be beautiful. Well, thank you so much. This has been so educational, and I really enjoyed being here in the garden. Thank you so much, Heather, for sharing your garden experiences with us. And thank all of you for joining us for Delmarva Gardens right here on PAC 14.